so we are so excited, and I'm Rachel. Abby and Jeremy are here. They have helped me to talk about all of the Star Wars movies. We've done the whole series, and Abby, do you want to say hello, and then Jeremy?
Hi.
Hello.
Here's where we get my favorite character. Just kidding. We get the droid L3. Yeah. And L3, I honestly think is the worst character in the history of Star Wars.
Really? You hate her more than Jar Jar Binks?
Yes. And here's I was just gonna read what
That's
I wrote.
Quite a lot of hate.
Yes. So here's what I wrote. Okay. I said I can appreciate wanting to have an activist droid and wanting to make Star Wars more socially conscious, but it has to be written with more of a deft hand for it to be effective. Jar Jar Binks is a super annoying character, but at least he has a role and a purpose aside from being an activist. He ends up getting his people, the Gungans, to fight with the rebellion and takes the Jedi to meet them. L3 was just a sidekick fighting for equal rights. That's not enough to make an interesting character. Plus, Jar Jar was an attempt at comic relief, and some kids found him funny. There is nothing funny about L3. So yes, I think L3 is the worst character in the history of Star Wars. Worse than Jar Jar Binks. Boom. Yeah, I thought that she was terrible. I thought that she just stuck out like a sore thumb because it's an interesting idea in theory to have a droid that's like sticking up for droid rights, but the way it was executed was so clunky and so like it just felt so out of place and so like in the middle of an action scene for her to be yelling like, I'm so glad we came on this ship and droid rights and freeing all the droids, to me was just so cringeworthy. I really hated it. I thought that she was awful, and the whole idea that a character like Lando would be not only like friends with her, which I don't buy, but that he would be like attracted to her was like so ridiculous. And like, I don't even know where to begin with that. And I don't know. I just thought that she was awful. I just couldn't. And then what happens with her with the Millennium Falcon, I was not a fan of that at all. At least when Jar Jar's gone, he's like gone. And there's not this like lingering legacy.
Yeah, that was bad. I get why you're saying she's the worst character in Star Wars history, but she's still not the most annoying character in Star Wars history. Because Jar Jar Binks just like tips the annoying scale. There's just, and he has so much screen time through multiple movies.
Yeah.
Whereas she like, okay, we have this lingering notion that she's somehow part of Millennium Falcon, but like we don't actually have to hear her talk anymore.
Oh, thank God.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
So there was a line when 3PO is supposed to work with R2-D2 on the Millennium Falcon, and he mentions that the Falcon has an interesting dialect. And so I think now they've kind of given the backstory for that dialect, which absolutely I find this L3 just completely annoying. I still can't put anything above Jar Jar. He's the absolute worst for me, and it partly helps that they killed L3 off, and I was really glad that they did it as quickly as they did. And I just wish it had happened sooner.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I get it in theory. The idea of having this character like that could be interesting, I guess. But it was just.
I think my problem is too. They've taken their droid thing and they took R2-D2 and C-3PO. They were a great source of humor in the original trilogy. And they came, and I think they did a wonderful job with BB-8. Like,
yeah,
BB-8 was awesome. And then you have in Rogue One, you have K2SO. Like, okay, now we're continuing to slide that scale, and I think it's you're crossing that line, which is a fine one, because again, even I was like, on rewatching, it's like, oh yeah, he does kind of his shtick a little bit too much, and now L3 is just completely over the top from the beginning, and we don't need another unique personality droid, like. How many droids in the universe out there just have this unique over the top personality? No, people memory wipe their droids for a reason, so that they'll reset and they'll just do their function. So I think it's time to get back to just show us, if you're going to show us a new droid, let's see a regular droid. Or bring back one that we already know.
Yeah, and the whole idea of her like setting all the other droids free, and like it just was so groan-inducing. I was just like, ugh. I don't know. I just felt like it was so clunky and so forced and so like out of place, and I just don't need that kind of message and that kind of character in every single movie that I see. Like, I don't know, it did not fit with tone, and I certainly did not believe for a second that Lando was in love with her. Give me a break. This is like a cool, suave character. And I said in my thing, I said, the problem is she yelled and screamed her case in times that any sensible character would know it is fruitless. You are not going to be able to fight for equal rights in the middle of an action scene. This makes it feel inauthentic and forced. And when a character preaching social justice is inauthentic and forced, it is very grating. As a woman, it doesn't make me feel represented to have a character that is unbelievable, cloying, and one note. In fact, it is kind of insulting when writers feel the only way to portray a minority viewpoint is in a shrill, awkward way.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and again, I think it would have been better had they. I think you can leave the scene where she's freeing the other droids if she hadn't been harping on it the entire time.
Yeah, that was so good. Oh, great. Well, thanks again. And how can people find you online or whatever on social media if they want to? Abby?
On Twitter, I'm at Abby_kid.
Great.
And I am on Twitter also at Jeremy_kid.
Great. And you can follow me at Rachel's Reviews here on iTunes or on YouTube, and at Smiling LDS Girl on social media. So please do. I really appreciate it. And we have, like I said, we talked about every single Star Wars movie and a bunch of other Star Wars content, including my review of Solo that you can find on our Solo playlist that I'll put in the description section. So check that out. And thanks again, and we'll have to talk again soon.
All right. Bye.